All right, and we are live. Hello, everyone. How are you? Hey, Bill. How's it
Hi,
going?
Ian. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Awesome, awesome. Apologies, everyone, for the slight delay. Doing this live stream from a different location. Okay, yeah, we're good. Everything is going through Zoom. So welcome to the show. Happy Sunday, everybody. Wow, I mean, this never gets old. Never a dull day in crypto. I mean, it seems like almost every single weekend when we do this show, there's some groundbreaking news. Last week was the KuCoin hack. This week is Bitmex founders being indicted. I mean, the president getting COVID. There's so many crazy things happening, and I'll just say in global capital markets, it's insane. So that being said, welcome to the show. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your crypto family. Bill and I are here to answer your questions for all things crypto and all things outside of crypto now, because crypto is no longer confined just to crypto. Crypto is now, all of us now have to go and look at what's happening with the economy and just everything, right? I feel like there's the butterfly effect when it comes to everything. All right. Hey, what's up, Eric? How are you? Awoken, what's up? Welcome to the live stream. 2020, nothing is impossible. Yeah, I mean, that's the understatement of the year. Okay, let me do quick shout outs. Hey, what's up, Honeycut? Hello from North Carolina. Nice. I've not been to North Carolina in a while. What's up, Shola? Welcome. A Diallo, Florian, Rolf Copter Walsh, Chester. Thoughts on Bidal? Well, I mean, we'll cover that. Okay. Where's my man Pedro at? Pedro is not on today. Tiffany, come to South Carolina. Actually, I've been to South Carolina. It's been a while, but I went to Myrtle Beach back when I was working with IBM for some clients. It was definitely a good place to go. Hello, JP. What's up? Carlton, good vibes. Leonard says hello from Marine Corps Base. That's what's up. Thank you for your service. Yassine, RCK, Lou Hardy. Hey, Ian from Melbourne. Crypto is keeping us awake for sure. Nice. I love Melbourne. Diego, what's up, Diego? Are we live, boys? Yes, we are live. We are so live. We're as live as it gets. Okay, all right. All right, with that being said, I think let's hop straight into it. So if you would like to submit your questions for our AMA, please go to menti.com. That's MENTI.com. And the Menti code is 7778010. Let me copy and paste this into the chat since I know people will be asking for this. Okay, so the code is 7778010 to submit your questions. We'll also be taking questions via YouTube, Twitter, and everything, but it's better for the AMA to get questions from Mentimeter. Okay. All right. So I think with that being said, let's hop straight into it. Bill, how are you?
I'm good. I've got it all mixed together in a PowerPoint. Do you want me to bring that up?
Yeah. Let's hop into it.
Okay. All right. So let's start with charts. Okay. Let's take a look at how crypto has been moving since all this news flow started. All right. This is a Bitcoin. It's an intraday chart. So normally on the show, I'm looking at the big picture, like 2 days, 3 days, 2 weeks. Forget that. Okay. Now I've got to go down to like 45-minute charts to get a read. So the world's changing.
Wow.
Okay. Now, what I'm noticing in Bitcoin is that when it goes down, if you look at the left-hand side, you see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It means when Bitcoin goes down, it looks like it's in a trend. And when Bitcoin goes up, it looks like what they call a zigzag, which is ABC. Okay. That leads me to believe, like a lot of other colleagues that we've heard from on the show out there, that the picture for Bitcoin may not be so rosy, right? It's actually scaring me. Okay, let's go to ETH. Now, this is a 4-hour picture of ETH, and it's doing the same thing. On the left side, you can see that sort of 5-section drop. And then you can see a zigzag, and then you can see that ETH may be starting another drop. All right. Now, what does this mean in English? Well, in English, it means people may be looking at this news and going, okay, I made money this year, or okay, I was late to the party and I really don't want to get smashed. I don't want to get wrecked, and I'm going to de-risk because the amount of uncertainty here is unreal. All right. Now, going back to the big picture, which I still think you can use, this is a 2-week chart of Bitcoin. All right. And I've talked about the support point the last time I was talking 10,400. Okay. Now I think it's at 10,200 because the line in question is downward sloping. So again, to keep it simple, if Bitcoin's below 10,200, worry, exit. You know, the market will tell you, especially if it's a big punch below. If we're just sort of sitting around and it's more of the same, but you see a big punch through 10,200, you'll know it's time to go to stablecoins. All right, stocks, our favorite. Well, one thing I've noticed, first of all, is that the S&P futures contract is exactly where it was right before it was gap and go to the downside in March. It's like deja vu all over again is the expression. Now, let's talk about equities because, you know, crypto and equities are connected. The president of the United States, you may like him or you may not like him, but the fact of the matter is he is capital markets friendly. Okay. Now, currently what the news flow is telling you is that the president is checked into the hospital and they've treated him, and in 4 days, everything is okay. That is not how this disease works. Okay. Most likely what they're doing is they're trying to manage the news flow so there isn't some sort of catastrophic market open for equities on Monday. All right. And we're going to see right after the show, literally, we're going to click off the air and S&P futures are going to start swinging around. I think you have to be very, very careful with stocks for this simple reason. COVID-19 rips through your body for 30 days. You can take medicine to slow it down, but it's going to have its way with you for 30 days. So the president isn't going to just get treated, get out of the hospital and go, okay, back to the campaign. No. Okay. So I don't know what that's going to mean for the election, but I think Joe Biden has a huge advantage because unfortunately the president of the United States is sick and may be sick for a while. So you need to keep an eye on equities. And again, we are right back at the March inflection point. Back in March, I said we're trading the virus. And guess what? We're trading the virus again. Okay, now let's move to something else that's impacting crypto. Let's talk about the dollar. Now, on the left column, you're going to see names of countries. Okay. And then there'll be dates in August where they took readings on inflation. So the third column, you can see inflation in Venezuela is 1,347%. And you can see inflation in Turkey down at the bottom is a paltry 27%. And there are other names in here like Brazil and countries that are notable and big. Now, the people that live in these countries, could they gravitate to crypto? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Are they going to gravitate to crypto right now, particularly if the system comes unglued? Maybe, but probably not. What they're going to go after is the dollar. Okay. So let's talk about the dollar. Okay. What are people in emerging markets going to do? What are people in regular markets, developed markets going to do. This is a chart of the dollar index. Now, what we're seeing in the dollar index is, it stopped going lower and it made a base. So we do have our expression here at Token Metrics that we like to apply to crypto, which is the bigger the base, the higher into space. Hopefully that does not apply to the dollar, because if the dollar bounces and takes out that black trend line, okay, that is not good for crypto. Okay. Again, we've had people on the show, guys who look at charts different ways than I do, talking about, I don't know, one guy was talking about 9,700 for Bitcoin. Another guy's talking 7,400. This could be how it happens. Okay. So you want to keep an eye on DXY, because if the system comes unglued, right, and people start buying the dollar, that's going to really hurt crypto. All right. Now, I have one more chart that I want people to think about. I know that everybody connects crypto and stocks, right?
Right.
But one thing that people forget is that in 2018, crypto got wrecked, not because stocks were going down, but because interest rates were going up. If you look at this chart right here in the middle, this is the chart of the long bond interest rate, the yield on the US 30-year bond. It's kind of reflects interest rates. It also reflects US credibility. You do not want to see the interest rate on the 30-year bonds start going up. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner, you see that little arrow. Okay. Mm-hmm. The interest rate on the long bond is starting to go up. Not a lot, but it's starting to go up. And, these things can happen when you start handing out money in the trillions, can affect your credit worthiness, right? Think of this as like the credit score for the United States. So you're going to watch stocks. You're going to watch the dollar. Okay. This is US 30Y on TradingView, or you can watch TLT. That's an ETF. People, it's never been more confusing, but the good news is we at Token Metrics have got it covered, right? From the virus to the Bitmex news. And we can help you navigate this, because that's what we do.
All right. Awesome stuff, Bill. Awesome stuff. Let me check here in the comments and see how we're doing with the audience and see if we have any questions. JP says Bill is the best in the game. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for the support. Okay, all right. So any questions you have, please go either to the AMA, or if you have any quick comments you want to share, feel free to post them down in the comments below and tell us what you think. All right. People saying they love the slideshow. Thank you, Shola. Good work with that, Bill. Okay, all right. So I think let's pivot and go to our question. I'm sorry, to Crypto Showdown. So actually, I did see a question. Somebody asked, are we going to be fixing the issue with the price prediction? Yes, we are. So the issue was, we made a second update to remove any coins have a negative prediction, and that update will be deployed by Monday. Apologies, our dev team was on basically it's the weekend, so they're not as available as usual, but that will be fixed. So stay tuned. Okay, quick question from Carlton Banks. Is this Bitcoin analysis for being bearish long term? I think for now it's especially short-term analysis, Bill.
Yes. As a matter of fact, all analysis is now short-term analysis.
Yeah, because I believe the charts you showed were like 45-minute charts, so it's like super short-term.
Right. So I'm starting with short-term. I think, and this is a good point. I'm glad this person brought this up. Bitcoin, Ethereum have got problems along with all other risk assets at the moment. Now, one of the things you have to remember, particularly if it gets ugly, is there has to be an event that helps port legacy investors over to crypto. And most likely, you know, if there's an ugly event, you know, crypto's not going to go up during that event probably, but when it settles, okay, it could be the buying opportunity, I don't know, of the decade, really, especially if there's a big smash. So all analysis is short term until we get some clarity.
Now, I just want to chime in that there was price predictions from Token Metrics. So let's take a look at Bitcoin here. So our models are predicting a short-term dip. I think Bitcoin could go as low as 10,400, but surprisingly, as we approach the election, they have Bitcoin going to about 11,200 or so. So interesting that, so the models are basically, they see Bitcoin kind of having a short-term dip, pretty much going sideways and then rising as we approach towards the election. Same thing with Ethereum. Actually, kind of different. So Ethereum is probably going to be going flat based on the prediction. So it will be going sideways from 350 to 341 or so as we approach the US election. So that's what Token Metrics says. Now, if we go to the ratings on the TA, the monthly TA is bearish on Bitcoin and Ethereum. But at this point in time, I'll trust the price prediction more than the technical analysis, because from our testing, the price prediction has been more accurate per se. Bill, any further comments on this or thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the best case scenario is that crypto could just like ride out the storm by going sideways. I mean, I mean, it makes for a really short show, but that would be that would be the optimum if crypto really just sort of shrugged it all off.
Yeah. So some questions here from the audience. Should I dollar cost average on alts or buy more Bitcoin? Okay. Very interesting question. Depends. Everything depends. Bill, your take?
Okay. So here's my don't dollar cost average in alts, because we don't know if the SEC is done yet. Right. I mean, I have slides for this too, but you don't want to catch the falling knife in altcoins after what the SEC just did. I can go into details.
The CFTC, you mean, with Bitmex?
Right. We're talking, yes, we're talking CFTC.
SEC combined as well. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. The Bitmex, I'm calling it the Bitmex roundup. Okay. You know, if you have that, you know, that could have substantial impact on altcoins, because it can impact the exchanges that altcoins trade on. Should you buy more Bitcoin? Sure. Should you be buying it now? No. There's so much news flow out there that I would rather somebody say, you know, Bill, you missed the bottom. I'd be like, okay, I missed the bottom if it goes straight up. But in this type of environment, this reminds me of prior eras like 2008, where bad news would come out and go, wow, we know it's not good, but what should we do? That didn't have a pretty outcome. So hang on to your money and wait. There'll be an opportunity.
Okay. And then one of the question that's kind of tied to that, somebody was saying they transferred some money to Pax Gold as a hedge. Basically, they bought some gold as a hedge.
Right.
Yeah, I think Pax Gold could be a hedge. It's actually right now it's the fourth rated token on Token Metrics, but even the TA on that is neutral. However, the price predictions for gold are pretty optimistic. So let me pull that up here. Okay, sorry, just give me a second. I'm doing this here on Zoom. So if we go to the price predictions on Pax Gold, yeah, I mean, they have gold going all the way to 2,400, 2,500 even. And obviously, these price predictions aren't perfect, right? This is not financial advice. Use this as just kind of a guideline of where our models think the trend is going. Curious to see also what Bill has to think, to kind of comment or mention when it comes to gold.
All right. Well, the full faith and credit of the U.S. government is going to be in question, whether there's a problem with equities or there's a problem with bonds. And frankly, interestingly, everything has totally mooned this year except gold. Like gold has gone up, but as we know it in crypto, it hasn't mooned. So could gold moon off this? It could. It could. Right? I mean, guys have been holding on to gold for a long time. They're not going to get out now.
Yeah, so Greg on Twitter says Trump got sick, gold jumped, and Bitcoin dropped. Then, well, kind of. I mean, there are so many factors at play, so it's hard to point exactly. But I mean, gold has been pretty resilient since the pandemic happened, and I think lots of people have been growing. You basically have two kinds of people. Two people going into gold. I'm sorry, some going into gold and some going into Bitcoin. Bitcoin as the digital gold. But I think now almost every investor understands that the world has changed and they project inflation to come, right? Whether it's due to E or whatever reasons, they see all this money being printed and they know that they're about to lose purchasing power. And they're trying to find ways to store their wealth. And some are getting into gold, some are getting into crypto. All right, so tell us what you think down in the comments below. Okay, all right, let's now pivot to Crypto Showdown. So we're bringing back some tokens people like. So Crypto Showdown, go to menti.com, that's MENTI.com, and tell us, in your opinion, what's the best project? Is it VeChain? Is it Chainlink? Or is it a pretty new, interesting project that lots of people in our audience were asking us to cover? Avalanche, Avax. So tell us what you think. Which one do you think is the best project? Obviously, everyone will have different opinions, different points of view. Go to menti.com. The code is 77. I'm sorry, yeah. Go to Menti, MENTI.com. The code is 7778010. That's 7778010. Now, out of those projects there, the newest one is Avax, Avalanche. Now, I did cover this 1 or 2 months back on a live stream, and I think let me take a look. I think we have a tech review on this. Ava Labs. When I read their white paper, one of the few projects where I actually kind of go through and for the most part read or skim most of the white paper, it was a really well put together white paper. And obviously white papers aren't the only thing to invest in. But from a technology standpoint, it is a decent project. We do have the full ratings on Token Metrics, so go there and check that out. And it should be published soon. But yeah, go there, check that out. Bill, what's your take on those projects? So we had VeChain, we had Chainlink, and we had Avalanche. From your perspective.
All right. Well, let's try a chart and see. So you're really not going to make a living in crypto, I think, saying bad things about Chainlink. The fact of the matter is, with Chainlink, you probably have a lot of people who are going to hold it, right? So Chainlink has held its support at these arrows, and it's kind of in between support and resistance. I think with Chainlink, there is the lowest probability that everyone gives up. Okay, I mean, that's actually important in altcoins right now. Could the people holding it just completely give up? Okay, now VeChain, we have looked at it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to look at it here versus Bitcoin. Okay, VeChain is kind of a niche play, as one of our show guests pointed out a while back. This is a 3-day chart. Actually, let me go to a 2-day chart. Okay, now VeChain could have a while to go before it gets to support, right? Support in VeChain is like down here. So I think with VeChain, unfortunately, there's a higher probability that someone just throws in the towel and says, you know what, I'll come back later, because you may have bag holders there. All right. Even though it is a really good niche project. I mean, if they destroyed VeChain, I would be a buyer. Okay. Avax has probably not got enough chart price action. They have the advantage of being shiny and new and possibly not having bag holders, right? Because, you know, people who bought high, and if there's an event here that causes another leg down, all the new stuff will do better than all the stuff that's got all these trapped sellers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then Avax, so now if you go online and you watch any videos on Avax by the founder, he's actually pretty good. I think he's a good speaker. He does a good job speaking to the project, to what they're trying to do. Now, Avalanche is now in the top 100 market cap, so it has been getting lots of attention, lots of interest. It's now on Binance, on Huobi, on OKX. So there has been, and now for those who don't know, they're basically creating a blockchain that can host sub blockchains. So my understanding of the technology when I read through the white paper is you can have almost a blockchain agnostic blockchain. So basically anybody can create basically their own blockchain inside the blockchain, kind of like a sub blockchain. So in a way, it's kind of like Polkadot in a way, right? Kind of how they have substrates and they can support all kinds of other blockchain and have them talk to each other. So really interesting idea, but the space is very competitive. Our team does not think it's quite on the same level as Polkadot at this point in time. But I mean, obviously the product has just launched and they're still kind of developing and putting things out there to the public. Anything else on your end, Bill?
No, again, interesting visual on this. Okay. You know, this is very typical of something new that comes out. Okay. It moons, right? Or it shoots up, and then it makes these kind of triangular consolidations, right? It's not a perfect triangle, but you get the idea, right? Sometimes this is what it can do before it moons. I've seen it before. Okay. These slow moving consolidations. Don't underestimate people's willingness to run into something new, particularly if everything else is going sideways or going lower. I've seen a couple of coins on Uniswap where it looks like bored crypto traders are just running into stuff to run into something.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bill. So let's go back and let's see what people have to say in the comments as well. VeChain will be a buy at 3 Satoshis, says Charles. Okay, interesting. Bosch says Avalanche to 0. Okay. Christian OY. Walker says Min is a serious dude. Okay. The only concern is he's had a project in the past, Bloxroute, who he was working with, that he ended up leaving. Not exactly sure what the exact story behind that was, but that is kind of concerning that this is second blockchain project he's working on. Okay, but now the audience, the audience of Tokemetrics family, you have voted. Wow, I'm very surprised. Wow. So VeChain Army has defeated Chainlink Army. I did not see that one coming. Wow, the Showdown winner is VeChain. Run-up, Chainlink. Third place is Avalanche. Wow, VeChain army is strong. I had no idea. So if you're a big fan of VeChain, tell us what you think down in the comments below. If you're a big fan of Chainlink, tell us what you think as well. Or if you're Avalanche fan and you think VeChain and Chainlink is wrong, tell us why down in the comments below. Okay, very, very interesting take there. Okay, all right. Let's now move on to the question of the day. So, all right, question of the day. I think it's time for us to maybe get somewhat controversial because we're 1 month away from the election, and I think it's hard for us to not talk about the election 1 month away, right? So we typically don't talk about politics much unless it's affecting crypto, and now we think more than ever it's going to be affecting everybody. So we would like to have you tell us what you think. So go to menti.com, menti.com. Use a code 7778010. That's 7778010. And yeah, I mean, because this was a question I knew I would personally be getting from our audience 1 month away to the election, especially when it comes to our own personal opinions, right? Obviously, everyone has different opinions when it comes to the presidency or elections. For those who know me for a while, I'm basically a registered independent, right? So I don't lean Democrat or Republican or anybody, right? I believe in just being a free agent every election and being able to go to somebody that will really benefit what you are trying to do, right? So from that standpoint, there is, I would say, a rational self-interest perspective, but in a way, I think it's also for a greater good, right? So curious to know what everyone thinks. But so my standpoint is just when it comes to the tax policy, because I know we've covered taxes in the past, why do most investors, well, basically Wall Street, why do they lean towards Trump over Biden? Because I did a poll on my Twitter, and I was actually pretty surprised, right? So we had about over 1,300 people voted, and 54% voted for Trump. And I did the same poll on my Instagram. That one was different. That was about 51% voted for Biden, right? But obviously, each polls will kind of skew more towards our audience base. But amongst investors, why do investors or Wall Street, why do they lean heavily towards Trump? And I actually did do some research here, and I came across this image here, right? Obviously, most people watching this stream are investors. So if you're an investor and you're thinking, okay, which president is going to affect me the most as I try to make money investing in crypto, right? So the main thing this is for people in the US. If you're in the US, looking at the capital gains and dividend tax, right? So currently with Trump, this is from the taxfoundation.org and crfb.org. So Trump's capital gains tax, it will be 23%, basically 24%. Joe Biden plans to double that to over 43%. So I don't know about you, but I haven't met many investors who want to pay more taxes. Now they'll talk about it, but I think it's one of those things that's I don't think it's the right move. I think if Joe Biden is trying to propose this, I think it's going to be very tough for him to win the investing crowd. And I don't think that's the audience he's trying to target, but still, because at the end of the day, the rich people, the top 1%, they have the resources to still manage to avoid paying taxes, whether it's going offshore or what have you. So it's really the other people who don't have the resources that end up getting affected the most, right? And I believe in free markets. I believe in basically as little taxes as possible, right? Then even for entrepreneurs, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, currently the corporate tax rate is 21%, right? With Trump, Joe Biden is basically going to raise taxes all across the board, right? And to me that I find very, very scary. And to a point, I mean, even right now. So actually, I'm in Florida at the moment, and I'm looking into possibly moving again. those who know, last year I came to Florida, but ended up kind of getting out of it. But basically, long story short, I'm looking to move to either Florida or Texas to minimize my tax footprint when it comes to state taxes. And then from there, I'll be looking through obviously legal means to minimize taxes when it comes to investing, because it's already stressful having to worry about making gains, but then trying to make sure you protect those gains, right? And I think tax planning is something lots of investors have to think about, right? And I'm not surprised when we see lots of people on Wall Street getting out of the markets, because if they see that Biden wins, this could mean they could pay twice as much in taxes. Let me stop there for now. Bill, any comments or thoughts?
Sure, a few. So, Joe Biden wants to double the capital gains tax on an aging population. Well, he can say that, but good luck getting that through Congress. Now, that said, okay, Trump is clearly the capital markets friendly president, although I'm not sure about these regulators that he's got. These guys are kind of on the warpath, but he's clearly the capital markets friendly president. Now, here's what bugs me about the election. I think if people went to the polls and Joe Biden was the winner, I think the American people, at least on the Trump side, would eventually accept it, and Biden would have a really hard time getting all this, tax craziness through Congress. Okay. However, I think if Joe Biden wins because Donald Trump is either incapacitated or viewed as sick, it would almost be like losing a huge football rivalry by forfeit, right? Mm-hmm. And the Trump side of the equation, the people may not accept the results. It might be sort of like they may see it as an unfair contest. All right.
Yeah.
Because the guy is sick. Now, that makes a Joe Biden presidency kind of a double whammy, right? It's not capital markets friendly. Okay. And it could make the other side, okay, it could make them upset, and they could take to the streets, and we could have more social disorder for a while. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if the president of the United States wasn't sick, the choice for a capital markets friendly president was clear. If Joe Biden wins, there's even more uncertainty now than there would be, and there was a lot to begin with.
Yeah. Now, just kind of add my comments to that as well. So, looking at both candidates, from my perspective, first of all, I definitely don't co-sign anything he says. I'm looking purely at taxes, right? So obviously there are other ways to do that, but one of the benefits, if Joe Biden does win, I think would be crypto regulation, right? So from talking to our securities attorney who worked in the Reagan administration, he's basically advised us that pretty much Jay Clayton, who's the current SEC chairman, has done everything to kill crypto innovation in America. And if Biden were to win, pretty much almost anybody would be more friendly towards crypto than the current person we have in office now, right? So I think so it's kind of like at least to me it's very difficult because at one point it's like, do we bring in somebody who's going to be better than Jay Clayton that will help crypto regulation and compliance and all that stuff and innovation, or do we bring somebody who's gonna be capital markets friendly, right? So I mean, but I think what investors should do is be prepared for both, right? Because anything is possible, right? Because last election, I actually thought Donald Trump was going to win, right? Because I was seeing how things were happening, and I don't really watch mainstream media because I've always known it's biased. It's kind of like they put you inside this echo chamber and you think the world is one way. then you get shocked when the world's a different way, right? So when everyone was shocked that Trump won, I was not shocked, right? Because actually there are lots of other people as well who had lots of good analysis on this. One of the persons who did I think Scott Adams, right? So he has a great book that actually goes through how he was able to kind of predict it. But everything is unknown, everything's unexpected, but just hedge, be prepared to kind of, for anything to happen. I think if Trump does win, there'll be lots of tension. And I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen, but just make sure that your money and your investments in crypto are protected for either option. Now let me check in here with the comments and see how we're doing. Hester Pierce should be the leader. Yeah, I mean, Hester Pierce, Crypto Mom, she's been very, very friendly. Okay, Awoken says, good take. Thank you, we appreciate that. Samir says, check Nomad Capitalist YouTube videos. Crypto people are taking Canadian. Okay, crypto people going to Canada. Actually, so I do watch his videos, and they're great. I mean, honestly speaking, I've even looked into not being American, right? Because I've seen other crypto investors go to tax-free places and basically stop being American, right? Denounce being American. But to me, the only thing holding me back is just family, right? So I don't have any tensions at the moment. But I do have other people in my network who did go to Puerto Rico for tax 20, or I'm sorry, Act 20 and Act 22. But I'm not sure if that's still available. But I know that as crypto starts to peak and go up again a lot more, and people are making more money, ourselves as well, those strategies do become more vital, right? Because I know me back in 2017 bull run, I did not think about taxes at all. And once you've made money, then you realize how much money you have to pay Uncle Sam. It's not a good feeling, right? Because at one point, I looked at my tax bill and I was like, I pretty much paid the state of Maryland about 70 grand in taxes. And I told myself, that's like somebody's annual income. I was like, is the state of Maryland doing that much for me at this point in time? So that's when I realized, okay, you know what? Lots of other things to do, right? Obviously, we've tried other things as well. We've tried having the offshore entities and everything. But even that, there is some downside to that, right? Obviously, I can't go into everything, but there are lots of middlemen and lots of rent seekers trying to make money on people trying to go overseas, right? But anyway, we've kind of been going all over the place. But let's go back to the question of the day. All right, so question of the day, our audience has said, who do you want to win the US presidential election? Wow, okay, in a landslide, Joe Biden. Now, I find this very, very interesting. So from our audience on YouTube, it seems it's leaning heavily towards Joe Biden. Then our audience on Twitter was leaning heavily towards Donald Trump. So I find it very, very interesting that different platforms have different, I guess, different people. Bill, anything to add before we wrap up this controversial topic?
Well, I mean, people may be changing their mind based on what's happening with Trump and the virus, right? Like crypto people are probably in the middle, right? I mean, you know, who do we want to be president? Well, we want Crypto Mom to be president. That's who we want, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if people in the middle may gravitate towards Biden because the current president is sick, it's as simple as that.
Okay, so Chester has a good question. What would the crypto markets do if the results of the election were contested? I think there'll be a crash. The people would hedge and not have that uncertainty. What do you think, Bill?
Okay, so if the election winds up in court, I actually think that's slightly less dramatic for crypto. I think we would probably I don't know, we would probably be tied to whatever happens with equities. But actually, if it wound up in court, that would mean it was close. I mean, if you'd asked me this question 2 weeks ago, I'd have been like, ooh, that's bad. But if it was actually in court, that would mean it was like close, right? So if the capital markets president who is sick it's close enough to go to court, that actually might be considered good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but I think it all depends on who ends up winning. Okay, let's go to
what's life like in the streets? I don't know.
Yeah.
That I don't, I'm glad we don't have that kind of show.
Okay, so Walker says, Ian, who do you think? And Bill? Okay, Ian and Bill, who do you think will be the best for DeFi innovation? I think Biden will be the best for DeFi innovation. Trump hasn't been pro crypto or Bitcoin. Obviously, he's made some posts on Twitter that aren't pro Bitcoin or crypto, even though what he's done from a tax standpoint has been pro Wall Street, or pro investing and capital markets, which has been pro crypto and indirectly, right? But I think from a regulation standpoint, I think Biden and anybody besides the current SEC people would be better. Bill, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's as simple as that, right? With Biden, we get somebody new, and we've seen what these guys can do when they go on the warpath, right? So, any regulators, but the current regulators could be an improvement.
Okay. Joanna says, have you considered to cash out in gold or silver and then cash out from there into fiat? Just wondering. Not me personally. I haven't thought about that. That's not something I think about. I've thought about getting into Pax Gold and having exposure to gold through crypto, but not that route. Okay, then one last question from the final boss. Actually, great name, very fitting for this. The final boss with the final question. Would there be an impact on crypto markets if another stimulus bill is passed? I mean, I think that would be very positive based on the last bill. What do you think, Bill?
Yeah, I think a stimulus bill is going to be focused on giving money to families, because clearly the money from the last stimulus bill wind up in Robinhood and then into Tesla stock. But I do think a stimulus bill is good as long as it doesn't impact the bond market. Okay. So giving everybody trillions of dollars that we don't have is good. It could wind up in the crypto market, but I don't think I would be like, yeah, it's terrific because of what could happen with bonds. Right. Remember, in 2018, stocks didn't wreck crypto, bonds did. Interest rates. So, be careful what you wish for on stimulus.
Okay. D-Rich says no state tax in Texas, and the cost of living is cheap in Houston. Come on down. Well, actually, I mean, so I do plan to stop by Texas next. I've been looking heavily into Austin because for those who know, Austin has a huge tech scene, huge entrepreneur scene. Lots of people have been leaving New York and California to escape taxes and just, I guess, whatever political reasons they have, and going to Texas, right? So especially Austin, right? So Austin is the fastest growing city in all of America, which is pretty crazy. And I've never been, so definitely want to check that out. So I'll be there, but I'm not sure whether I'll move there. I kind of want to go there and kind of see what the vibe is like. All right. Great question, great comments. Appreciate it. Tell us what you think down in the comments below. Okay, all right. Let's now, I think let's go straight to the AMA. And the first question, not sure who asked this one. Okay. All right. So the first question on the AMA is DeFi dead? I would say no. I mean, stuff doesn't definitely or indefinitely go up. Because for perspective, I would go to DeFi Pulse, right? So if we go to DeFi Pulse, which is pretty much the coin market cap, looking at the amount of money flowing into DeFi, it is not dead, right? We have over $10 billion now in DeFi. So, I mean, to say it's dead is overkill. Bill, any comments?
Okay, so DeFi is not dead. Okay, so let's try the PowerPoint and see what I can get going on here. DeFi is not dead, but the question is, how do you invest and make money in DeFi? Okay, that's the question.
So basically, are there still gains in DeFi? Is a better question, I think.
Right. In other words, you know, like here is, okay. Here's something about DeFi sentiment. So this is from Don Alt on crypto. Basically, in the beginning, nobody talked to him about DeFi. Then a couple people did. Then 5 to 10 people came to him at the top, and now he's still getting 3 to 5 inquiries per day. And he's cautioning people at the bottom about being late to the party. And the final line, which really got my attention, is don't think that strategy of being late to the game and people kind of scamming you works without retail around. Okay. So be careful of traps. Be careful of going, the age of, DeFi. I think that part of it's over. And I think you've got to find quality plays. I was actually looking at something like Compound. All right. Now, the other thing you have to remember, especially with regulators on the warpath, is this comes from a very interesting thread that says the regulators will not turn a blind eye to DeFi, right? They will look at, money laundering regulations. And the final line, it says they've shown the long arm that the U.S. Department of Justice has. Okay. So what does that mean? That means, be super careful about anything that goes, wow, we're so decentralized. We're untouchable. Guess what? Nobody's untouchable after Bitmex. Now, One thing that is interesting about DeFi is that anybody that's transparent or maybe high quality, like for example, Compound trades on Coinbase. So anybody who makes their way to Coinbase might be more viable long-term. Also, I was thinking just conceptually, Polkadot, because Polkadot and maybe even Kusama are talking about kind of like DeFi 2.0. And if DeFi 2.0 has KYC and AML, then this whole trade could be done all over again. A whole new set of coins that does KYC AML could start mooning. So it's almost like DeFi could have like an offspring, right?
Yeah.
And we could do the whole thing again in a regulatory friendly manner.
Okay, now I think one article I came across from the blog Crypto, just give me a second as I pull this up here, because DeFi is not dead, but I think with what's happening from a regulation standpoint with Bitmex, because that was pretty nerve-wracking actually. For those who don't know, recommend going and checking out this article from New York Times. And so Bitmex made itself a haven for hackers and illegal transactions is basically what they're being charged for, right? But what I missed, they've made arrests already, right? So if we go here, Mr. Reed was arrested in Massachusetts on Thursday, while the other 3 men remained at large. Because this part, I don't know, they're actually locking them up. I mean, because I thought that they were just like serve them papers, but wow. Right? I mean, so that means they're looking to arrest Arthur Hayes. Wow, I mean, that's pretty crazy. And then there was this article from the blog Crypto. This is actually from September, and it's basically talking about how these other lawyers on Twitter think that Uniswap's token is a security. So to kind of piggyback on what Bill was talking about, I think regulators will come after DeFi, but right now we have 1 month until the election. So I think there'll be a cleaning of the house. New people will come in, and hopefully whoever comes in with a more lenient, more friendly strategy, or I would say just regulation towards crypto. So hopefully this is just kind of like their last big hurrah before they end up changing jobs. But yeah, I mean, it is pretty crazy. With Bitmex, I mean, they let US people on board without doing much, and they didn't have KYC, and they're saying that they could face up to 5 years in jail for each charge, which is pretty insane. I mean, hopefully this doesn't turn into one of those big events in crypto, like what happened with Dread Pirates, what's his name? The guy for Silk Road. Hopefully, I mean, I don't want to see Arthur Hayes in jail because I don't think that would be good for crypto. Any of the Bitmex founders. Obviously, I know lots of traders have made jokes about them and how they wreck people, but I think if they go in jail, that could cause a huge crash. Actually, I'm curious to see what Bill thinks about this because the big events that have caused crashes in crypto were the Mt. Gox hack. I know so many people who were early in crypto, but once they got hacked on Mt. Gox, they left crypto for like the next 3 years and never looked back until the next bull run. And I think if something like that comes in, if regulators go after Bitmex and they throw founders in jail, that's going to stifle innovation in America. Nobody's going to want to touch any American crypto user ever again, well, at least for a while. I mean, they already try to block them, but it's something that if all founders in DeFi in the crypto space realize that they could go to jail, not just like a slap on the wrist or a fine, but going to jail, I think that's going to stifle innovation. So I don't think it's good for the space. Charles says CZ is next on the list. Goodbye, Binance. LOL. I mean, I don't think CZ will go to jail. I mean, I think he has. First of all, he's not American. Then they now have Binance US, which is regulated in the US. So they've done, I think, a better job when it comes to regulation and compliance than Bitmex has. But yeah, that's kind of our take. So tell us what you think. So the question was, is DeFi dead? And we ended up kind of talking about lots of things, but tell us what you think down in the comments below. Okay, all right, so moving on to the next question. Okay, seems people are pretty nervous right now. So next question is the bear market here already. I don't think we're in a bear market. I think there's been a healthy correction, but I wouldn't call this a long-term bear market. Bill?
Okay, so sometimes when a market goes down after a rally, everybody goes, oh my God, I'm absolutely buying the dip. And unfortunately, at that point, you know it's not over, right? It's only over when people are like, I'm never touching this thing again. It's going to zero. I can't take it anymore. Okay. So this thing about there being issues with Binance, if you go back to an earlier question about should I dollar cost average in alts, that's why my answer was no. Right? If you have people moving altcoins off exchanges, that can create like the type of forced selling that you had, I know, joke of the day, back in 1987, right? And for corrections to end, okay, you know, you have to have fear. Okay. And this is something about the SEC making the head of a legacy bank personally responsible for money laundering.
Wow.
So it's not just crypto, folks. They're on the warpath on this money laundering stuff, and they're not just fining people anymore. Okay. So, you know, CZ may not wind up in cuffs, but these guys all may wind up paying fines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can freak people out. Now, I know that sounds terrible, but people freaking out normally is a buying opportunity when the freak out reaches its peak. A bear market goes on and on forever, like 2018. I think with this news flow, you know, people are, it's just going to be like, oh my God, and boom, it's going to disappear. And then we're going to have to almost like restart the process, right? Go back to token metrics, look at the ratings, and it's almost like you're going to start over. So if you missed it, don't worry.
Yeah.
You're going to get another shot, I think.
Let's combine that with this other question. So this person was asking, how low can the market go from here? Any thoughts, Bill?
Oh, of course. Okay. So, you know, when environments like this come along, I actually like to listen to like other smart people and see what they have to say, right? You know, I would love to be able to just sit in a room, meditate and think of everything, but sometimes I got to reach out and listen to other people. So we had one guy on our show saying, you know, Bitcoin could go to 7,400, right? You know, I think that's possible in this environment, only because, you know, if they just washed everything out, you know, altcoins, you know, if we're talking about like what's the worst case scenario, I think you're just going to have a chunk of the space, right? Like everything rallied, right? Every DeFi lending coin for speculation rallied, right? And only one or two of them are going to survive. Right. So it's almost like we're going to like separate the strong from the weak. You know, predicting what the exact bottom is. I don't know. I think that as soon as we establish whether or not the president of the United States is actually going to get well or not, and if there's a hysterical move off that, I think regulators are done scaring people for the moment, because there's enough scary stuff. So once elections uncertainty is removed, you know, the coins that are going to win long-term will stop going down and turn around.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, somebody had a question from YouTube. Walker again with the questions. So question is, what would it take for altcoins to decouple from Bitcoin? Now, the altcoins I've seen that have decoupled from Bitcoin usually have two things happen. One, like for example, Helium Network has no trading pairs with Bitcoin or Ethereum. All their trading pairs are in Tether. So that's been one factor. And two, they have some form of staking or incentive that incentivizes crypto users to hold that token. So with Helium, people are making money from mining, right? Or some products could have yield farming. So I think those two have been, at least in my experience, the projects that have those two have fared better than other projects. But it's also not the case. So for example, I just shared this with our quant team because they're researching how to hedge using options. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Now let me share my screen. Just give me, okay, I guess not. Sorry, I'm doing this in Zoom. And Zoom is not playing nice. Okay, sorry, just give me 1 second. because it was an image that basically showing all the altcoin returns. And I think this is something every investor should look at, because as fast as it comes is as fast as it can go. Right. So okay, I have it now. Let me pull up my screen. So this has been going around on Telegram, but projects like Curve, Sushi Swap, I mean, if this is correct, this is down 92%. Right? So these are projects that nobody has been holding for the most part, right? So if anything, Ethereum has been a better project to be in at the moment as a result of this. So for anybody out there, if you are up and you made profits, you should always be taking profits. I know we kind of hammered that home back in June and July, and even August. But this is what happens if you don't take profits, and it is actually pretty nerve-wracking. So the average crypto correction is basically over 60%. And because for example, let's take a look at UMA, a project we like from a technology standpoint. It did a 15 or 16 nuts, I believe. So it went as high as $21 and then came back crashing to under $7. And this was after the Coinbase listing. But now, if you're a value investor, because Curve has good technology, and Curve is one of the most used products in the crypto space. So if you were ever bullish on Curve, Curve under $1 could be a possibly good time to accumulate. And I think this is it's wild, I think. Bill, anything to add?
Sure.
Looking at this table.
So on the question, how would altcoins decouple from Bitcoin? Well, you've got part of it up on the screen right now. Some of this stuff is down so much. I mean, I guess you can go to all go to 50 cents or all go to zero, right? But the thing about Bitcoin is held by a lot of wealthy people, right? There are tax issues involved with long-term hodling now. Okay. So I'm happy Bitcoin is stable at 10,000, but if everybody goes to get out of their Bitcoin all at once for tax reasons, Bitcoin could look like an altcoin on the way down. Bitcoin history is filled with all these, huge drops. So I think that's how they could decouple. I mean, alt's down 90% or 70%, and Bitcoin sort of like catches up in a way.
Yeah.
Nobody in crypto wants to see Bitcoin crack, but there is a tax problem out there. And historically, as our systems will tell you, it's really not that good for Bitcoin when it just sits still. I would love to see it go back to 11,000 and hold up. But historically, Bitcoin just sitting around doing nothing is bearish.
Yeah. So some comments here. When you put this up, this makes the reality clear. Should have taken profits. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it's a crazy thing. This happened in pretty much a month. And this isn't just this is for the entire space. Even good investors, traders have been affected. I mean, even us ourselves, like honestly speaking, for those who have been following our indices, it's happening. It's happened to anybody, right? So if we pull up the token metrics indices, they've been taking a beating too. To a point, our team has been working overtime to come up with new ways to hedge against the downside risk. So for example, we now have first index that negative based since the launch on June, end of June, right? And I'm still pissed off at this because this would not have happened if we kept it in stablecoins. Now, taking off the ability to hedge to stablecoins, wreck the index, right? So now we've put it back in, and this month. So I think somebody was asking, did we make the update to the price prediction? Yes, actually, it looks like it has been deployed. So let me go down here to take a look. Yes, yeah. So the update has been made. It has been made. So somebody was talking about. So the index now will recommend stable coins, and it will filter out any tokens for price predictions that have negative price predictions. Because if it thinks everything is negative, it will just go to stable coins pretty much. Right. So those are those minor tweaks we've been working on, because we definitely realize that people entrust us to help them make money and also not lose money. Right. So it's definitely been a month, but we're working diligently on fixing that, and that's basically through options. So, for example, the site we've been researching options is open for anybody out there who wants to possibly hedge. Obviously, this is something that requires more research, not for newbies, but basically you could buy puts as a way to hedge. So, for example, if you think, actually, maybe I could share this, actually, but probably better for Jad to do this. But the idea is think of, maybe, I guess maybe Bill could kind of chime in on this. But options are really a way to hedge. It's kind of like insurance. Okay, Bill,
Sure.
Could you explain to people how they could hedge with options?
Sure. So a put option, it's got some nice features to it. So let's say Ethereum's trading at, I don't know, $300. Okay. And you wanted protection for your portfolio if Ethereum went below 280. Okay. Mm-hmm. You could pay a fixed amount of money. Let's just say $5 an option. Let's just say that. Okay. You could pay that amount. And if Ethereum went down, you'd lose money on your Ethereum position. But if Ethereum really went down, this option would really accelerate in value and help you cover your losses. Now, that sounds great, but with options, you got to be really on top of timing, because guess what? Options are only good for a certain time period. Okay. So there's a lot of strategy and a lot of charting and a lot of quant work that goes into what put you should buy and when. Now, one additional twist. Let's say Bitcoin's sitting around at 10,000, or let's say Ethereum's not doing much. Okay. Put options will be relatively cheap. Okay. I don't know if they will be with the Bitmex and President of the United States news, but crypto is stable at the moment. Now, once crypto starts going down, okay, put options start getting more and more expensive. So our don't FOMO policy applies to options as well. Because let me just tell you that big players make money selling options to people who FOMO into them. So you want to buy your protection when the market is going up or is stable, not when it's already started going down. The bottom line is puts and put options can help you. And, there's one additional add-on, right? I have all these sayings, and you probably wonder why these sayings are so enduring, right? Fortunes are made by buying low and selling too early. That saying stays around because it sucks to buy something at 30 cents, watch it go to $6, take profits, and then have it go to 17. But you have to remember that you got to make your fortune one step at a time. And then there are also stages where you're going to want to protect yourself with the put options, right? You may have to give up some upside. Sometimes you may be wrong. You might buy a put and it might expire worthless. So one step at a time out there, you'll be okay.
All right. Well said, Bill. Yeah. So we're definitely working on being able to provide that as a way to hedge for any downside risk. All right, so tell us what you think. Any comments or thoughts? We know the market is pretty interesting right now. I'll just keep it at that. Okay, all right, let's go on to the next question. Okay, EXO has a comment from YouTube. SEC wants to regulate crypto just like they did for Canadian marijuana. So they can shut out the little guy. Bitcoin regulation is for robbing you through unlawful taxes to keep you poor. And then Dizo says, if you make money without giving politicians and regulators a cut, it is illegal. That's politics for you. Yeah, I mean, politics is it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, all right. Back to the AMA here. So we've kind of covered. Somebody had a question on options trading. We've not looked at power trade, but we've been looking at open. We've looked at Hedgehog and some others. Then I've covered the monthly price prediction question. Okay, all right. Here's a question. Okay, Ian, do you have any gem where you have your eyes on? So basically, is there any project we like? So we shared this with the customers. We did a tech review on a project. This was 1 or 2 months back via our customer newsletter. And it's also on our website. If you go to tokenmetrics.com, we have a review on this project. But one project that we've told our customers that is worth keeping a very good eye on. Actually, I'll bring 2 projects up since we're here. So the first one is called The Graph, thegraph.com. So this is a pretty popular project amongst developers. We're not saying go out there and buy the token today or when it launches, because that's not our approach, right? For those who know me, I'm more of a value investor, more long term. I do trade as well, but even when I trade, there's swing trades over a week to a month. But from a pure technology standpoint, this is worth keeping on your radar, and then waiting for when is a good time to get the token, right? Because when this launches, as with most tokens, it'll be pump and dump, right? So that's not the ideal way to get in. Now, if you can earn the token naturally through yield farming or just using the network, that's the best approach, right? Because then you aren't really putting any capital at risk, right? You aren't buying any capital. So, for example, like earning yield farming tokens when you just stake your crypto and they give you that crypto asset, that to me is the best approach because you aren't buying any crypto. So the only risk you have is just the smart contract risk, but that could be hedged through Nexus Mutual and on some other insurance platforms, or even with options as we covered earlier. But this is worth keeping an eye on. So I'll quickly go through this. The Graph is an indexing protocol for querying networks like Ethereum and IPFS. Anyone can build and publish open APIs called subgraphs, making data easily accessible. So some of the products already building on top of the Graph are pretty well known. So if we just go down to the partners, right? So Uniswap, Synthetics, Decentraland, and Aragon. So they have some pretty big people or companies already using them. And they did, and here are the list of companies backing them: Digital Currency Group, Multicoin Capital, Compound. So this is on our radar. The other gem, also on our radar, actually somebody in our private network is an equity investor in this, and he's on who told me about it. This was early in the year. So let me pull it up here. So it's called Flow. This is a CoinList token sale. So the platform for a new generation of games, apps, and the digital assets that power them. This is a blockchain being built by the same company that built CryptoKitties. So this is worth keeping an eye on. We do have the tech review on tokenmetrics.com. And they're working with some pretty big names, right? They're working with NBA Top Shot, Ubisoft, Warner Media Group, UFC, CryptoKitties. So this is pretty much, I don't too much diving into it myself, but our tech team really liked it a lot. And this is pretty much a blockchain for gaming, is my understanding. Basically for mainstream adoption. So worth keeping an eye on this. And lots of people have had an interest in NFTs. And I'm also in the process of getting into the NFT game. So one I've been looking on, I did get an invite to join NBA Top Shop. So I have made an account, but I myself have not purchased any. But if you're really into NFTs, look into this, right? So for those who don't know, NFTs stands for non-fungible tokens. So basically collectibles. So this is basically tokenizing NBA trading cards, except as opposed to being traded cards, these are more like moments, or they're like videos or animations, but basically videos. So for example, like here we have a game winner from Anthony Davis in the NBA playoffs. So they'll tokenize this and put it on a blockchain. And for anybody who's played NBA 2K and knows how you collect packs for my team, it's pretty much like tokenize my team. Or if anybody has played Madden or like my team in Madden, anything like that, you're basically collecting cards and you can then resell them. So I've been in some Telegram groups, kind of keeping an eye on this. So they have what they call drops, where they drop these NFTs and people bid people buy them and they sell out pretty fast. Because I've been getting emails, like the last one I saw sold out in less than 1 hour. So they'll have limited amounts. So let's say, for example, they'll have this Luka Magic NFT of him doing this move. Let's say they'll have, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 of them. People go there, they announce the drop, people buy, and then people resell them on marketplaces. For example, if we go here to the marketplace, right, let's see what, so this LeBron James pack is going for $83. Maybe we say this is actually my first time going into the marketplace here. Let's do. Okay, I guess anyway, that didn't work. But I see here this Zach LaVine one is 371. So this to me is pretty interesting because I do love basketball. So maybe I can see here this Vince Carter one is going for 950. Right, so it'll be pretty cool to maybe kind of get into it. I still haven't pulled the tree yet to buy any of the other packs, but to answer your question, those are the projects that I have an interest in, that I think could be possible gems. Bill, any comments on any of that?
You know, I really like this idea, particularly if we're sort of in this sort of depressed economic environment of using crypto and blockchain to create something uplifting like basketball cards, right? So I love that part of it. What I don't want to see is people using this stuff for collateral in DeFi. Okay, that I don't want to see.
The lending.
Yeah,
NFT
right. So
lending?
that becomes the subprime lending of crypto. No. Okay. So
yeah,
have a great time. Have a great time with the collectibles, but don't be borrowing money against your Pokemon cards. Don't.
Yeah, because actually I was hearing about that this week. I think BitBoy or Elliot made a video on that. And there's some platforms that, yeah, I think it's pretty crazy. Yeah, but if you think about it though, and on what I guess in other markets, people borrow money on art, right? Like the super wealthy, they have like a they have tens of millions or 100 millions in art. They can borrow versus that, but obviously that's not like Pokemon per se, right? Yeah, I mean, interesting times we're in crypto. People are dying laughing from those comments. All right. Okay. All right. So tell us what you think. Are you bullish on any of those projects? So we covered Flow, we covered Graph, we covered NBA Top Shot for NFTs. That's one I have an interest in. But yeah, tell us what you think down in the comments below. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the AMA. Okay, let me see if we can pick some questions we haven't really answered or talked about. Okay, here's a good question. A good and fair question. Okay, how to make money with token metrics when the market is going down? Very, very good question. So I would say the first step is to read our newsletters. So we have Bill providing market analysis and commentary at least twice a week. So that's the first step, our newsletters. So if you enjoy hearing Bill talk, you definitely want to, you'll definitely enjoy reading his work as well. And then we also have Bill in the private chat where he's doing pretty much commentary and TA in the professional chat. So we have that as well. And then I've covered this before. So if you're very, very risk averse, let's go to token metrics now. So this is how I would be using it. And this depends on your time, but I'm assuming you're talking about trading. So if I was looking to trade and I'm using the ratings, not the indices, I would use our 3-point checklist, right? So I would find something that's ranked in the top 5, maybe top 10, but top 5. Then I'd find something that has bullish TA. And then I would find something that has bullish price prediction. And not much right now, honestly. If you just say greater than 0. Okay, sorry, hold on. Did that work? Okay, that is not working for some reason. Anyway, I'll have to talk to our team for that. But looking at this, pretty much it's saying stablecoins. Stablecoins backs us gold. So our models are pretty bearish now for someone who's super risk averse. Now, if you can stomach the risk and you're willing to kind of buy the dip, right? Let's go to our indices, for example. So what's kind of becoming apparent at the moment? The indices that rebalance a lot, and they work very well in a bear market because they're not holding anything long term. While the indices that work the best in a bull run are the ones that don't trade a lot. So, for example, during the bull months, the bullish months we had, the price prediction indices for the monthly and even the value investor in general, they're the highest. But once the market flipped on a dime, because they don't rebalance as often, they're not able to self-correct. Right? So what, for example, right now in a bear market, if we go to trader, technical analysis daily, this one has fared pretty well during this downturn, for example, right? So, and it, as you see here, it has 1, 2, 3, 30% of the portfolio is in stable coins. Actually, 4 with Tether. 40% of the portfolio is in stable coins. All right, and this one has been pretty resilient, but that's because it's not holding anything longer than a day. So I would say, how do you make money with token metrics in the downturn? I'll probably switch more of your portfolio to the daily or maybe even weekly, but probably Yeah, I would say daily or weekly is what's been working, right? As opposed to the monthly. The monthly is kind of when the market is doing very, very well. Bill, anything to add to that?
Sure. So the first thing I would do is, you have to be able to play the market both ways. So if you happen to be lucky enough to be on an exchange that has, the futures contracts, or if you're in America and you've got to get the CME Bitcoin futures contract, you got to have an account first, to state the obvious. Now, when it comes to using token metrics, I'm taking a similar approach to Ian, although it's a little bit different, right? So this is the monthly weighted portfolio. Okay. So Token Metrics, an altcoin service, is essentially telling you that, sort of a token that works sharing internet service, a privacy coin, another privacy coin, another privacy coin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Binance, right? Those are not really altcoins in a traditional sense. This is a defensive portfolio. So when you look at token metrics, you're going to ask yourself, is token metrics on the offense, right? Is the AI going, okay, yeah, buy the small coins, right? Let's go. Or is it telling you to buy Monero and Dash and Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Because compared to alts that are down 90%, these coins are practically stable coins if everything else is down 60 to 90%. Okay. Yeah. The other thing I like using on this, I like this overall grade, right? Like, I don't know if I'm going to get it to come up here, but when the overall grade in, say, Bitcoin or Ethereum is down in like the low 80s, it's never a good idea to be super long, right? So there is such a thing in equities called defensive, right? You're either long a lot, that's when you're, it's going up, and then you want to be in cash and then have a small portion of your part of your account that you use for trading on the downside, whether that's buying put options or shorting futures, right? But you can always tell what the token metrics AI is thinking by looking at what it's holding. Think of the AI. I think of the AI as a colleague. So, hey, my colleagues want stable coins and Coinbase coins. Out of all the altcoins out there, that's what my colleague wants to own. It's not exactly bullish.
All right. So hope that helps. Tell us what you think down in the comments below. So actually, Forrest from the professional chat is saying, Bill, I lend money on fine art, 50% on Christie's, Sotheby's, official pricing, big part of my business. Okay, very interesting, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the art market is definitely more mature than the crypto NFT market, but I think there's lots of potential. I think lending is there'll be lots of wreckage that will ensue.
Right. Art is usually like accredited investors. You know what I'm saying? That's usually like pretty high end.
Money.
Right. That's accredited investing, accredited investors lending against, real assets that have a broad market. It's not, tokens sold to retail based on the value of your brother's basketball cards. You know what I'm saying? It's different.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Great question. Let's go on to the next one. Okay. Interesting question here. Can you address the rumors that Ethereum 2.0 won't scale the way most people believe? Okay. I'm not sure which exact rumors you're talking about, so I'll just kind of make it general. So pretty much the question is, what will happen if Ethereum does not scale? I mean, I think it's Ethereum's race to lose. If Ethereum cannot take advantage of what it has to sell, people will begin looking to other chains even more, and there could be a big exodus because ourselves, right? So our development team is currently prototyping a decentralized metrics asset allocator that can pretty much take our indices and trade on a DEX. So basically, our AI indices would act as a data feed, and we have a working prototype ready. But our issue that we're also have been facing is that for the decentralized asset allocator to rebalance the portfolio or the index, it it, ha it has to pay about $1,800 in fees, which is obviously not something that people want to do. And that's basically because of Ethereum, where it currently is. Now our team is working on workarounds around that. Kind of what other projects have done, essentially is basically do kind of like liquidity pools where they bootstrap liquidity and they wait until there's X amount of liquidity in that pool. I think Urn Finance did this, Balancer did this as well, and some other projects. But right now, that's what DeFi projects have to do. They have to launch with enough liquidity where the transaction fees become minimal. But I mean, there are projects out there that hopefully would be a backup if Ethereum can't scale. So let's say Ethereum cannot scale. That means projects to look at would be Matic, which we're very bullish on. XDAI is a project our team is very bullish on from a tech perspective as well. We've also been looking into Starkware as well. So the layer 2, I think if Ethereum at scale, would have to look a lot more at layer 2 scaling and other blockchains to scale, whether that's Polkadot, whether that's ends up being Cardano or some other blockchain, or I know lots of people have been talking about Solana, but other blockchain, other layer 2 products would possibly take the world's attention and interest in that. So if Ethereum is not able to scale, or if it takes forever, somebody could really, or some project can really blow up overnight and even make investors who are in that project very, very wealthy. Bill, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, on this subject of collectibles, Ethereum not scaling would be some sort of, explosion or apocalyptic event that you would see in like a comic book, right? I mean, you'd have Ethereum and all these related tokens, turning into dead money. And then, instantaneously the market has to go figure out what the replacement is, which, I'm sure the holders of, Polkadot and Cardano are, hoping for. I know it's a decentralized world, and it is kind of funny that the credibility and stability of the whole decentralized world is tied to a guy named Vitalik and the programmers that work with him. So that's kind of weird. Okay. But, if Ethereum 2.0 can't scale, you're going to have a convulsion in crypto that's going to turn a lot of people off as investors. Yeah. Some people are going to get rich, right? But yeah, markets do what hurts the most people would be taken to an extreme.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Bill. Tell us what you think down in the comments below. Let's check in here with the audience and see how we're doing. If you're liking the show, be sure to subscribe, share this live stream with your crypto family, and on Telegram, on Twitter, on Facebook. We also do have a podcast as well. So if you want to listen to us on the go as you're weathering this downturn and the pandemic, go to tokenmetrics.com/podcast. Okay, Moonswap is currently actively doing cross-chain transactions with Ethereum as layer 2 solution. Cross-chain? Okay, I'll have to check that out, James. I mean, my understanding was Moonswap was a Uniswap version built by the One Inch Exchange team, or is that Uniswap? Okay, I'm probably getting those two confused, I think. Thoughts on adding the ability to filter coins by exchanges when reviewing indices? Okay, we'll have to look into that. That's something I would say. Could you submit that to feedback tokenmetrics.com, and our team will take a look at that. Okay. What's the time frame for Matic to explode? Okay, somebody's asking. So here, let's do some TA, Bill. Could we do TA on Matic Network?
Okay, let me get there.
Yeah, so the person wants to know when will Matic Network explode? Okay.
Okay, the short answer to that question is when no one expects it. Okay, because unfortunately, that has been the way these sort of explosions have worked. Let me get the chart up here. Okay, so this is the Matic Bitcoin pair. Okay. Now, what is interesting about this is that Matic may actually has a chance of breaking out right here in the end of October, right? It can, the last time you see this arrow here where Matic just sort of glided through one of these diagonal lines, it actually pumped, right? And this base in Matic, you know our saying, the bigger the base, the higher in the space. Wouldn't it be funny that the first altcoin to actually take off, the only altcoin that was working in 2019, okay, might be the first altcoin to start working in 2021. So while everybody is selling everything and everybody is chasing all this stuff that's, you know, DeFi related or, you know, was the hot thing in July, maybe Matic is your fourth quarter play starting at the end of October, like right here.
Okay. Yeah. Let me also share the perspective of what the AI says. It basically follows Bill's sentiment. So this is for Matic Network. So this right now it's around 1.8 cents. It thinks it can go as high as 0.022 cents by, I would say, third week of October 21st or so, before tailing off towards back to 2 cents. So, I mean, that's not quite an explosion, but it's definitely optimistic, I would say. So tell us what you think. Are you bullish on Matic Network short term for this month in October? Do you think it's going to explode? Do you think it will be gradual, or do you think it's going to go down? Down in the comments below. Okay, all right. Great question. Okay, now let's go back to the AMA here. So let's do some more TA. So somebody's asking for VeChain and Chainlink. Okay, so VeChain versus Chainlink, which one has more potential and can make you the most money? Okay, first, everything depends. But I think for now, let's just assume it's a short-term trade. So first thing first, I can pull up what we have here on Token Metrics. So these are popular projects. We had them on as the crypto showdown, and surprisingly, VeChain, our audience chose VeChain over Chainlink and Avalanche. Okay, so looking at the price predictions for VeChain, this has VeChain actually going down in the short term. Right now, it's around 1 cent, and it has it going to 0.009. Sorry, it's around 1.1. Yeah, so basically, the AI thinks it's gonna go down this month. Now let's take a look at Chainlink price prediction, and then we'll go to Bill from the TA perspective. But in general, this market has not been too kind to altcoins, but Chainlink and VeChain are large caps, so they haven't been quite as affected. Okay, interesting here. So this shows Chainlink at $9.29, hovering around 9.14 for most of the month, then going up to as high as 12.25. Interesting. So the AI thinks Chainlink is a better short-term trade for this month. Bill, what do the charts say?
Okay, so let's try this. So this is VeChain versus the dollar, right? And one of the things that I think is really interesting about VeChain is that VeChain did most of its rally. Okay. A lot of altcoins mooned in August. VeChain was actually done by July. Okay. Right here. So VeChain is a niche play. So it actually has a chance of bottoming, because maybe I'll use my imagination and say VeChain can have a mind of its own, right? Because where's VeChain going? I don't think it's going to zero, right? Mm-hmm. So it seems to be on support, and it seems to have limited downside. And if it's a niche play with a mind of its own between now and the end of the year, if there's positive news for VeChain, it could go up. Okay. Now let's talk about Chainlink. You know, one of the things that we know about Chainlink is that Team Chainlink wants to buy it. You know, BitBoy was on the show, and he had like a kind of a theory that Team Chainlink itself would be okay if it went down, because they want to buy it. So, you know, Chainlink as well is on top of support, just like VeChain is. So, you know, these two coins are going to be subject to the ebb and flow of all altcoins. VeChain seems a little bit more interesting because it's a niche play, right? Like if everybody panics and everybody sells everything, Chainlink is not a little mini coin anymore. It's a big, big instrument, likely owned by hedge funds. So you have to weigh the risks. So I'm giving a none of the above answer to the question. I don't actually know. I wouldn't mind giving VeChain a shot on the long side, right? I think I'd be more inclined to buy Chainlink if it started to go up. Like if Chainlink started to rally, I'd be more inclined to go with that. If I bought anything kind of as a lottery ticket on a dip, I would do VeChain.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bill. And tell us what you think. Are you more bullish on VeChain or Chainlink? VeChain Army, Link Marine Army. Tell us what you think. Let's see who wins the comments. All right. Okay. So back to the AMA. Okay. Let me see. Okay. This is actually a very good question. How come there's a difference between the technical analysis on tokenmetrics and that on TradingView for some cryptocurrencies? TradingView says very bullish, tokenmetrics says very bearish. Why do you think there's such a gap? Very good question. So for example, if we go back to Chainlink here, so if we go to technical analysis, so our technical analysis indicators are backtested through our AI, and that's how our scores are determined. While the ones on TradingView, I don't think there's any kind of AI backtest, and I think theirs is based on just, actually, let me see if I can pull up TradingView's trading indicator here. TradingView, because I've not actually used TradingView in forever. Sorry, just give me a minute here. I'm just trying to see how to use TradingView here. So Bitcoin, let's look at Bitcoin. Bill, do you know how to pull up this? Is it under, I guess?
Well, believe it or not, I'm not actually familiar with the fact of whether or not these guys have their own bullish or bearish indicators unless it's working off like what people publish on TradingView.
Actually, it might be the chart. Okay, so here I'll pull up the TradingView one. It's on the left hand side, I believe. It should be an option there. Okay, apologies. Bear with us here. We're doing this live. Earnings calendar. Okay, yeah, I'm not able to find this. Can somebody maybe drop it in the link?
Well, I can, you know, while we're sorting out the technology, I can sort of step in here. Okay. So, you know, our models, token metrics models, it's sophisticated in that they use technical indicators and then it's filtered through machine learning. Okay.
Yeah, actually here, I just found it.
Got it.
Apologies for that. Yeah, so this is what TradingView has. Now looking at this, they have 1 day. So this is for Bitcoin, for example, right? This is 1 month, and theirs is based on pretty much just counting how many say buy and how many say sell and neutral, right? And while that's a good approach, our approach is basically taking that same concept. So for example, we go here to Chainlink. We have indicators as well, but everything is back tested and applied to figure out how accurate our indicators are, right? So I'm not sure if TradingView publishes how accurate theirs are, right? But for us, we can say that from doing thousands and hundreds of thousands of backtests, for example, the technical analysis has an accuracy of 55% on average, right? So that kind of gives you perspective. And that's a pretty good success rate for a good trader. I know Bill was saying that like a genius trader is like 60%, right?
That's correct.
But the cool thing is, this is probably a good time to kind of bring this up, but we're in the process of revamping the grading system to make it easier based on customer feedback. So we'll be combining, let me go back here to the ratings page. So I mentioned we've been testing the quant grade, which has an accuracy of 76%. That's going to basically replace fundamentals and technology and become the new value investor grade. So we'll end up having just 2 ratings on token metrics. We'll have one for value investors, long-term, and one for short-term traders. And the short-term trading grade will basically be replaced by a combination of the price prediction and the technical analysis grade. So you'll end up having just 2 grades. So there'll be less confusion because people have been telling us it's tough to know what to do since we have so many different grades and don't know which one to follow. So right now in our back tests, we've been testing a new grade. That new combined grade for trader has an accuracy of 68.5%, which beats a genius trader as well as by 8.5%. And that's by taking our price prediction grade and combining that with the technical analysis grade. But what makes this powerful and different from what TradingView has, for example, we're back testing all of this, right? So right now in our current tests, because this isn't live yet, we can say that to get that accuracy of 68.5%, our models have determined, as opposed to using just the technical analysis grade or just the price prediction grade, which we've been testing internally, it's better to use 85% grade from 85% of the weights from the price prediction grade and 15% of the other weights from the TA to come up with one single grade for for the trader grade. So those are the kind of things we're doing that I don't see TradingView doing at all, right? And we're always trying to make things better, right? Especially in time like this. So we're hoping to have all of this live and launched by the end of this month, hopefully. Worst case, probably next month, but we're working fast to launch it this month. And if we do that, it'll be pretty cool because now we can fully automate token metrics, which we think is the holy grail. So the biggest hindrance to our growth has been, we've been manually adding tokens and manually going through doing code reviews, technology reviews, fundamental analysis. But now we can say with certainty that we have an automated system that's, so for example, the fundamental analysis grade has an accuracy of 64%. That's going to be replaced by the quant grade, which has an accuracy of 76%. So we have over 12% accuracy improvement through the AI, having it fully automated with no human intervention, right? So now we can, the goal would be to automatically import tokens as they're added on CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, all these platforms. And we can, the goal would be to launch with 6,000 tokens and have range for all of them. So you guys will never have to ask, hey, when are you guys adding this? Why is this still, why does this have still scoring on it? Because everything will be fully automated. And that's kind of the holy grail. And then with Token Metrics 2.0, we're looking into adding other data points, adding sentiment analysis, adding macroeconomic indicators, adding global capital markets, right? So the futures contracts, all the indices, economic indicators, and putting all of that into the AI and having it figure out whether or not something could impact crypto. For example, if we add the VIX indicator, the volatility index, maybe the AI figures out that, hey, when this moves when this moves up or down, it affects Bitcoin this much, and it will affect this altcoin this much. Right? Imagine being able to have that data point added to the price predictions. We think that's pretty powerful. So that's kind of what we're working on, and that's why we think, because we think this is the future. And what TradingView does is a step, but honestly, it's like the, not caveman days, but it's very basic, very elementary, which is good. It's a good place to start, especially since it's free, right? So if you can't afford Tokenmetrics, that's fine, right? I definitely don't want to like speak badly of them because they do have a good thing that they're doing, right? But what we're building towards, because Tokenmetrics is always evolving, right? And we're definitely not perfect, but we're always evolving and adding lots of different data points. And Tokenmetrics 1.0, we had 74 data points. We're working on rebuilding Tokenmetrics from ground up in 2.0, which will be coming out and launching next year. And that will have thousands of data points. And how powerful would the AI be with it? Because if it's this powerful with just 74, I mean, with a quant grade now, that's an extra 54 data points, so about 130 something data points or so. But imagine if we have thousands. When I say thousands, I'm thinking, think like over 10,000, maybe even over 100,000 data points. Because I went through the book, the Jim Simons book on the quant revolution. Let me see if I can pull up the book here. And this book was pretty good book. I'll probably give it 4 stars out of 5. But I really like how Jim Simons really took over Wall Street with his strategy. Let me pull this up here. Okay, so this is the book, The Man Who Solved the Market, How Jim Simons Launched the Quant Revolution. Now, for those who haven't read the book, what he did was they have a short-term trading strategy where they're basically doing high-frequency trading. And they have a quant fund, the most successful crypto hedge fund on Wall Street. It is a quant fund. They go out there and they get as many data points as possible, and they put everything into one single super AI model that then goes out there and finds what trades to make. And they're all short-term trades. They hold them for seconds, minutes, worst case maybe within one day. Now we're doing something similar for crypto, but we're taking more of a long-term investor perspective. So kind of like, it's kind of like half hedge fund, half VC approach, which is different and unique. But we think this is the future, right? We're basically taking technology that is typically reserved for hedge funds and Wall Street and making this accessible to retail investors and traders at a fraction of the cost, right? So that's kind of our way of helping everybody go to the moon and beyond. Bill, any other comments to add to that?
No, it's exciting to be on the teams inside Token Metrics that actually help pick the indicators and build these things, right? You know, I'm not saying I'm like him, but this is one of the things that Ray Dalio did, right? He quantified the way he looked at the markets, right? So these type of tools combined with human analytics, basic risk management, you know, they can make you a lot of money when it's going up and save you from getting wrecked when it's going down. Because, you know, just sitting down at your desk to trade is so hard and so discouraging for people, right? That we can actually bring a lot of hope.
Yeah. Yeah. So very, very excited. This is kind of the vision of Token Metrics. And yeah, Walker says, cut down, love the vision. Ian and Bill opening the bridge router and the old school cart techniques. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, all this for the crypto family. So thank you all for all the support. We appreciate it. Okay, all right. How are we doing on time, Bill?
We're good.
Good? Okay. All right. Okay, that was a great question. Okay, all right. So that's also a TA question for Bill. Do you believe Avax can surpass projects like Eos and ADA in terms of market cap? Okay, so that's a fair question. So basically, can Avax surpass Eos and Cardano in market cap? Let me go and look at this from a tech perspective with Token Metrics, right? This is one of the cool things about Token Metrics. So now I do have the professional plan. So for those who are customers, maybe there's some tokens you don't see, but I'll just come through here and I'll just look at the sort this by technology. So looking at the tech, actually, so we have Avax. So technology, we currently have it at 67. Cardano is at 89. And Eos is an 80. So just based purely from a technology perspective, based on our developers going through looking at the code, Avalanche is not there yet. So I think it's going to take some time. We think Cardano out of those three has the best tech, followed by Eos, then followed by Avalanche. Now let's go look at it from a short-term TA perspective with Bill.
Okay, so let me just bring this up here. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna have to bring up. All right, something's happened to my trading view here. Okay,
no
wait, there we go. Okay, hang on. Let me just.
Okay. So as Bill does that, I'm seeing some comments here. Walker says EOS has serious onboarding flaws. Okay. Yeah, I mean, EOS raised a bunch of money. I mean, over $4 billion, but they've been pretty quiet. I haven't heard much of them recently. I mean, Polkadot has been the crave of town, of the crypto world. Cardano needs a commercial partnership lead to really get them traction. Things like Polymath have been discussed, but they don't really get things popping. Yeah, I think they need a hype man. I mean, Charles Hoskinson, I mean, he's a good hype man in a way, but I think they need actual execution now. right? They need something like the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. They need lots of interest because while the tech is good, they haven't really done much. Do I like XRP? Unfortunately, no. This is not the first project I put my own money in. I don't own any XRP, but XRP will always have a place in my heart because it was my first ever 10x investment in crypto, my first ever 10x trade. Oh man, I mean, I was in XRP below a penny. If I held XRP, I mean, that would have been almost 1,000x return. So actually, I met Jeremy Gardner when he was in Miami. He went to the crypto castle, and he told me his best trade ever was XRP, and it was pretty crazy because it wasn't some flashy new ICO that you had to go and fight over an allocation for through a private sale or have the best deal flow to get to. It was XRP. At that point, it was top 5 market cap, and he got in and he did almost 1,000x return, and he's pretty much set for life, based purely on XRP. Then I also have some other friends of mine because we were trading XRP when it was like 3/10 of a penny, but between that and 6/10 of a penny. But back then we weren't really holding. But I got in, most of my amount in XRP was from like 3 cents, and I sold at like 35 cents, and I never looked back. This was like spring, maybe summer 2017, but I think probably around springtime 2017. I never looked back, and I made it. But imagine if I held all the way till it reached $3. That would have been 100x on something in the top 5 market cap, which is crazy. But yeah. All right, Bill?
All right. Well, I can, let's talk EOS.
Okay.
Okay. So this is EOS versus Bitcoin. Okay. And unfortunately, when you have something like this, you know, this is people giving up. Okay. This kind of decline, right? Especially relative to Bitcoin. So the question is, can something new come in and eclipse this when you've got bag holders in something like EOS? And the answer is yes, right? I wasn't able to get, I'm having some trading view problems. You know,
Okay, no
I think
worries.
when it comes to Cardano built a huge base, okay? It broke out, but then it came back down, all right? Again, can Avalanche take these two out? Yes. Why? Because these coins have got bag holders, right? Long-term people who haven't gotten any gratification out of the token. So the shiny new stuff, you know, if you ever had the right market, the shiny new stuff could take off.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Okay, more VChain questions. Gonna have to skip that one. Okay, we kind of already covered NFTs with NBA Top Shot. That's the one I'm looking at. Okay, let me. Okay, let me see. I'm just trying to find a question that will be good for us to answer. Okay, so here's one. So this is a year in finance. What do you think about year in finance versus Bitcoin? Yearn has been seeing wild swings lately. Okay, so we'll have Bill pull up Yearn Finance. I mean, so Yearn has been called the Bitcoin of DeFi. Okay, so and I think that's a fair assessment because it had a fair launch. Now, if we go, let's pull up Yearn on Tokenomics. Okay, I will also have Bill pull that up on his end. So looking at the price predictions here, but actually prior to the price predictions, from a technology standpoint, Yearn is a great project, very solid project. Our team is bullish on it. But from looking at the price predictions, it's not really seeing much. It's basically seeing it go flat for most of the month, hovering around 14, 15K for the most part. Then Bill, what do you think of Yearn versus Bitcoin?
Okay, so this is Yearn versus the dollar. Okay, and it looks like what happened here is this looks like a give up trade. I saw this similar thing in Compound, right? So I think in terms of a short term trading bounce, that would be like 3 to 4 days, assuming no market calamity. This can actually go up because it looks like everyone gave up and stopped everybody out, and then it came back. So it looks like it's got another leg higher, maybe to like 22K. Okay. That was a zone where it was comfortable at multiple times. So it looks like the sell-off in Yearn is overdone.
Now,
okay?
how would you compare this to Bitcoin? Could you find a trading pair for Bitcoin?
Sure. Let me see if it'll let me. Okay. All right. So I've got the Bitcoin trading pair coming up. Okay. So here's the same 4-hour chart. All right. And I guess you're gonna watch me draw this one live. So okay, so this zone right here is the moment where Yearn mooned, right? That was the first Yearn moon right here. And then what you can see here is everyone giving up and stopping out, getting stopped out below that, right? And then it comes back. So if it holds this sort of like 1.75 area, right, then it's actually got a shot to rebound from a trading point of view, right? So I think Yearn looks okay versus both the dollar and Bitcoin for a short-term trade.
All right, thank you, Bill. Actually, apologies, I missed a chat here from Mike's World. Thank you for that. Super chat. Okay, so the question from Mike's World is, this is for Bill. Can you explain how the bond market attributes to crypto crash before? Thanks. Okay, so I think bond market and crypto crashes.
Okay. All right. So let's just try to do this in an easy way. When interest rates rise, okay, that can actually boost the power of the dollar, and interest rates rising can generally dampen, I don't know, let's just say it can be a bummer for people who want to like be rampant speculators. Like one of the things the Fed did in 2000 when the dot-com bubble got out of control is they started to hike rates. Okay. So in Bitcoin, you had this sort of double whammy of like a speculative bubble bursting, whales and miners selling, and then interest rates rising was insult to injury, right? It wasn't the only thing, but rising interest rates dampens speculation historically?
Okay, nice and short. Walker says, man, love Bill's market wisdom. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, because think about it. Bill is always on live, right? And we're all bringing all kinds of questions, and he never phases, right? He's always there, always has our answer to everything. I mean, so Bill's our very own human AI. All right, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm seeing there's a question here from Ribline. Thank you for the chat here, super chat. YF Die. Okay, I don't think I've heard of that one. Okay, so YF Die. Tokenomics are off the chart. Only 7,700 circulating, with over half of those being staked. White paper and farming coming soon. Thoughts? Well, I mean, my thoughts are, for anything with yield farming, honest advice, I would not buy anything. I would only earn it from farming, right? I would not buy any changes, especially after we just showed early in the live stream. Let me pull up this chart again, right? Like, this is what we're dealing with at the moment, right? Let me zoom in here, right? All these were pretty much yield farming projects, right? Curve, Sushi Swap, right? Somewhere they had liquidity protocols, but right now the market is, now's not the time to go and put all your money in some new token, right? Now, if you do like the project, I'm not saying don't get it. What I'm saying is it's not best to buy it right now. It's best to just earn it. Right? So let me pull up the project here. So YF Die. Let me see if they have it on CoinMarketCap. YF Die. Okay, let me try CoinGecko instead. They usually have newer coins. Actually, I do have it on. Sorry. YF. Now I'm just saying this. It has some kind of peg to DAI if they have the name DAI in it. Okay. All right. Okay. So looking at it, it's $465. So trading volume is 385,000. Market cap 2.6 million. Uniswap. Okay. So if we just take this, I'm just trying to see what the liquidity ratio is on this, right? So so 14%. Okay, it is some liquid. Okay, let's go to the website here. Hey, what's up, Mateo? What's up, Ilya? How are you guys? All right, so going to yfdie.finance. Here's their site. I would just farm it. And right now in this market, actually, I was talking to Mateo about this the other day, but most people who are doing farming, they're selling the free tokens they earn from farming. That's very same day, right? Either that or you pick a particular set time frame, whether weekly, daily. But I mean, those tokens crashed a lot. I've heard stories of tokens crashing 20, 30% in one day, right? So if you're going to be farming something and it's short term, I would definitely, without fail, without any mercy, sell the free tokens to lock in those profits. Okay, yeah. Honestly, I've not even heard of this and still don't know what they do. Let's go back to the top. Okay, what is YFDI Finance? Community-centric innovative DeFi projects, blah, blah, blah. Okay, staking, farming, safe swap, borrow lending. Okay, so same spiel as YFI. So not saying what's innovative about this. Like, honestly, not sure I would touch this, but let's see what they have. Okay. All this is coming soon. I would not buy this at all. Earn, Okay, let's go to staking. Let's see what you can stake. So 72% APR. Okay, it's asking me to connect my wallet here. Okay, let me connect one of my MetaMask test wallets. Okay, yeah, sorry, it's not really showing much here. Okay, honestly, I would not buy that. I would just farm it, and that's basically it. Okay, Rubline says, thank you for your research. I bought it at $20. Oh man, okay, but you're up. Okay, been staking, just debating what to do with it. It has safe swap coming soon. Thank you again for your research and opinion. Okay, if you got it at $20 and it's at 460, I would definitely take profits, right? And then the other remaining house money, just stake it and be willing to have it all go to zero, right? That's basically, because if you're up and you've taken a boatload of profits off the table, I think you're in good position. Bill, are you able to find TA on YFDAI, Uniswap token?
I have it here.
Okay, great. Okay. Oh man, that chart.
So
it's like Tetris or something.
So, you know, we've talked about the moon formations, and now we're starting to see like the straight pump and dump, right? Mm-hmm. Like the classic pump and dump has two phases, right? It's got the initial run up and then drop, and then there's like a final hope trade, and then that's the end.
The deck countdowns.
Right. So I'm not saying terrible things about this, but you know, with Uniswap, right, we saw distinct patterns when something was going to moon, and that's not it.
Well, nice and short. Ian and Bill, these Sunday sessions are awesome, man. We'll be signing up for Token Metrics. All the best. Hey, thank you. We appreciate it. Definitely. And actually, we do have a coupon code. If you use the coupon YouTube FAM, that's YOUTUBEFAM, that gives you a 10% lifetime discount. This is just to our YouTube audience who's watching this live stream. So you put in that code to get Token Metrics for 10% off lifetime. All right. Thank you. Okay, all right. I think we're gonna have to wrap this up soon. We do have that NBA Finals coming up. All right, and we've been going for over 2.5 hours. Okay, let me just get one last question. Let's make it a good one. Okay, all right. So back to the Bitcoin market and COVID. Hello guys, you're doing an amazing job. Don't you think that it's the first moment that Bitcoin didn't react to two bad news events, Bitmex and President getting COVID? Does that mean that we are in a bull market? Okay. Bill, your take on?
All right. Well, I share this person's sentiment that I'm happy that there hasn't been a negative reaction. As we discussed earlier in the show, the perfect world is that, you know, we would kind of all just sit here and watch the show go on. Right. Okay. That said, I remember 2008, right? Lehman went bankrupt and the market didn't go down for like 2 weeks or more after, right?
Oh, wow.
The big crater. It took a while for people to process the news. Now, with altcoins down a whole bunch and Bitcoin not reacting, could that be considered good? Hell yeah. it could be considered good. Do you want to start pushing chips in with, you know, like equities are going to try to go up now on this idea that Donald Trump's going to be the first human to recover from COVID in 4 days? Right. That's not going to happen. that is not going to happen. Okay. So if there's a bid in the market today because of that, that's like algos reading positive headlines. It's no. Okay. If Bitcoin weathers the storm, yeah, it could be a tremendous 2021 because, you know, if there's no shakeout and we get a friendly regulator in there, yeah, that's super bullish. Right. But do you want to commit capital and lose sleep over the current events? I mean, you know, if you're holding it, I'm not telling you to go out. You have to sell today. I'm not saying that, but I don't think you're going to add risk in this environment. You're going to want to protect yourself if you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, definitely interesting times. So Bitcoin has very resilient, very strong. So with COVID, with Trump getting COVID, it pretty much hasn't done much. But with Bitmex, I think there's still more to the story. Somebody is saying that late tomorrow, Tuesday, market is going to be flooded with blowback from Arthur getting taken down. I mean, because when the news first came out, I had no idea that they're actually making arrests. Because I thought it was just like, you know, like, hey, we're taking this person to court to sue. Right? So I thought it was like civil charges. I know there was like criminal, where they can actually face jail time. And that they've already arrested one of the founders who was in Massachusetts. And first of all, what are you doing running Bitmex in Massachusetts? I mean, but wow. I mean, so, but I think, for example, if there's a picture of Arthur Hayes getting arrested, getting put in handcuffs, and that goes all over crypto world and Twitter and Telegram, I mean, I could definitely see a huge market correction. But I mean, long term, I think Bitcoin always bounces back. Bitcoin never dies. So that's kind of my take. Let me see if there's anything else to that. Now, are we in a bull market? I think we're still in a bull market. I think this was a healthy correction. Obviously, in altcoins, the healthy corrections, you could lose 90% of everything. But when you put things in perspective, right, if you went up like 10x, 20x, and it comes back down 60% on average, if you've been taking profits, you're good, right? So I don't think now is the time to sell everything and exit crypto. But I think it's, as Bill said, it's time to just be smart. Join us here every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern time for Bill's wisdom, for our AI analysis, and for just the Tokemetrics crypto family love. And with that being said, I think it's been a great show, and it's probably time for us to wrap this up. But tell us what you think down in the comments below. Okay, all right. So it's been a great show. Bill, is there anything we haven't covered that you would like to talk about before we wrap up?
Sir, I think we have covered it soup to nuts, right? We have done the whole deal tonight. So we just wish everybody out there well, and we want to thank our viewers and our customers for supporting Tokemetrics.
Yeah. So I would just add to that, if you happen to have lost money in September, just make sure you look at what you were doing, whether you were trading or investing, and just try to build on top of that and learn from that. So if you were chasing the pump and dumps and you got wrecked on that, learn from that. It's fine to get wrecked because everyone gets wrecked. Just learn from that. Or if you were in the right coin, you made money but didn't take profits, learn from that as well, right? So just make sure you're improving every day, every week, every month, every year, and in no time, you'll be a great investor and trader. And also make sure you subscribe to tokemetrics.com. With that being said, thank you, crypto family. It's been great. And as we like to say, the moon is not the limit to the moon and beyond. Thank you, crypto family. Be
Thank
sure
you.
to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.